Well, we've been talking about people participating from Northwest Ohio in the Civil War. John, where did a lot of the soldiers end up then from Northwest Ohio? Where did they go?
Our campaign would be considered the southern eastern campaign, mostly down in Virginia, Mississippi, Alabama, and we were in that big push to the March to the Sea with Sherman.
With Sherman?
Yep. And no, not so much out west.
All right. So we're participating in this. So if the folks are sending supplies to soldiers, they're sending them where? They're
On
sending
the train. I wish I had a map to show the train routes.
All right.
And there were problems with the train routes with the sabotaging the railroad, cutting the telegraph lines, and things didn't get through. But it was mainly us doing that to them.
Okay.
So that they couldn't get their supplies.
Interrupting lines because they were major transportation forms at that point in time, so that's how they got supplies, and they do that. You have put together a typical camp for a soldier here in the museum. This is really interesting. What kinds of things are you showing here?
Yeah, there's a lot going on, which I can't do in a tiny label.
Okay.
Over here we have there's a lot of downtime in the camp life. Some people were in camp for months and not seeing any action. There's a gentleman over here with a violin you could bring instruments like that and play for the group. And this is an actual song sheet. A lot of times you'd go into a new city and the ladies in that town would throw a dinner for the troops, and these are the song sheets that they would pass around for everyone to sing along for entertainment at those events.
So even then there would be some social activities and things to help break up a long day.
I was showing the cooking over here. That pan might be a little big, but they did that's to show that they really did have to cook their own
for those
dinner.
Who could cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And that's a particular unit that's a spoon, a fork, and a knife all combined into one. He probably would have had to buy that himself.
I was just going to say, that's not standard issue, is it?
Nope.
All right. What was a soldier issue?
What they could fit in this backpack, and you didn't want to put too much in it because this could get extremely heavy.
I bet.
And this also has your bedroll and your some people had to carry the tents, so you had to pack pretty light. We had a display at my last job at Lincoln Museum of this, so kids could actually get in and see how heavy they were.
So you had to be careful that you didn't put it too heavy to make your march in.
Right.
How about shoes at that time? Must have been kind of tough.
Yeah, these shoes, and there was no left and right in the shoes at that time. You wore them into the left and right positions, and you could have to sometimes repair them with little pieces of leather because you wouldn't be able to get a new pair. A lot of marching.
Okay.
And we have some of the equipment that you would be wearing in here.
Did you bring your own rifle? Or?
Yeah, you carried that too.
Okay.
These 6 rifles are all from one unit, the 38th Ohio, and they were friends from Fayette. And after the war, they all came home, joined the Fayette GAR, and when the GAR disbanded and everyone had passed away, the ladies of the GAR donated these rifles to our group. So I put them back in their original positions as these buddies would have had it, set up in camp with the company flag rolled up between them to keep it dry. And we know everyone's name because they all carved their initials in the stock. One has 2 sets of initials because the rifle was pulled off of the field from a dead soldier.
Okay. What about length of service? How long did people serve in the Civil War? I'm sure it varied depending upon how many times they enlisted or re-enlisted, and as the enlistments got longer. Is that how it worked?
Yes, some of these knew right away when they joined that it was only a short trip. The gentlemen who were the guards on the camp on Johnson's Island and at Camp Chase in Columbus, they knew their trips were only for a short amount of time. But some people, like in the 14th, they would re-enlist for the whole entire length. So they were there from Bull Run all the way to the very end.
Okay. Looks like perhaps we're making some ammunition here.
Yes, this the mini ball, which is not a ball at all. It's a pointed ammunition, was invented during this time period, and it really increased the accuracy of the rifle. The round balls that you would have seen in the War of 1812 were very haphazard on where they would end up, and so you had to make your own bullets in camp too.
You brought your own metal to melt down, I take it?
Yeah, and they sometimes stole things and
commandeered?
Yes, like chickens out of people's farms. And,
okay.
And
for dinner? Something new?
Yeah.
Are some of the pieces here significant for some of the folks from the area? Such as the perhaps the swords or the drum here that you're showing?
The sword is from Colonel Hayes when he left Wauseon in 1863 to join the 100th. He was given this sword by the village of Wauseon. It's made by the Tiffany and Company, who made Mary Lincoln's inaugural jewelry, and it's inscribed with presentation wording from the city of Wauseon. And last summer, it was donated back to us by his great-great-great-great-grandson in New York City.
Tell me about him. How did he get selected to lead the troops in that?
Well, he was always a leader. He was the first man to build a store here in Wauseon. His daughter named the town Wauseon after the chief who had lived here before. He was a businessman. He was on the council, and he was part of the militia that was here before the war. So he was already a natural-born leader, and you can see by his order boards there that he quickly went up in rank throughout the war.
What did he end up as?
Brigadier General at the end.
That's pretty significant.
The drum, it took us a long time to figure out what that was. First we thought it was a Civil War drum, and then we saw the names of all the battles written on it, and we couldn't figure out how that worked, because nobody was ever at all those battles. So then we received this photograph that you'll see over there that has the Wauseon GAR standing in a parade, and Martin Zimmerman is holding this drum, and it turns out that when they had a reunion of all of the soldiers from Fulton County, they wrote where each one had been, which battle. So that's why all that's written on there.
Okay, the commemoration piece here.
Yep. And then the Springfield rifle is very important. It was the most ubiquitous rifle during the war and made in America.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to continue with more of our program and look back at one of the things that really was hard on a lot of the soldiers during the Civil War.